Okay, so this video is here to explain about a deeper, different, and maybe more darker side of the planet Jupiter in general in astrology, and why it is more, probably malefic and darker than, the planet Saturn and Pluto, especially Saturn, since that is like this planet that just has this huge negative association with it, huge negative connotation attached to it. I don't know how long this video is going to be, because I might just go on some huge esoteric spiritual philosophical ramble. So it might be a long video, it might be a short video. We'll find out as I just freestyle this video and make my point. So what does Jupiter represent in our birth chart? It can represent children. It can represent a teacher, a mentor, a guru, a sage. It can represent a husband in a woman's birth chart. It just represents just divine wisdom and philosophy and just divine worldly knowledge and intelligence. It's not that type of intelligence that is like, mathematical or mechanical, working with your hands. It's not mercurial intelligence, It's more so just philosophical and wisdom and just great at maybe writing and stuff or being artistic. Jupiter can represent liberal arts, which is just a fancy terminology and phrase used to just represent a variety of well-rounded forms of education and stuff, so that is Jupiter. But Jupiter can also represent a belief system. So, someone with a Jupiter placed in the right place in their birth chart can not only represent an astrologer or a tarot reader, but it can also represent, like a lawmaker, a senator, some political position. Or it can represent, like a pastor or a preacher or a motivational speaker. Because Jupiter can represent a belief system, and we all have a belief system, and we express it differently. Someone in a high position of political power can pass laws, which is basically making their belief system, making what they believe into a law and enforce it on other people. And that's basically the bulk of what I'm about to get into, and why Jupiter, the planet, is really, when you think about it, historically the reason and cause for a lot of wars and just violence and carnage almost in general around the world, you see, because when you have a belief system, some people can take their belief system too far. They can take their ideology and their belief system, and they want to spread it and enforce it on other people and on the masses. And we have seen this countless times in history. Jupiter, what does it represent? It's known as the great benefic planet, but it's also a planet that's known as, it has no boundaries, it has no, no limits, and it's represent and known for constantly expanding, constant expansion. But too much expansion, too much growth can be cancerous. So, one person can just think that their race is more superior than the others, and you want to exterminate that race, or you want to exterminate some people who have this certain religion that differs from you. Christians can alienate people who might be gay or think differently from them. Other religions can alienate you and could just look down on you, figure you as like an outcast if you think different from them and have a different belief system than them. Just countless examples. Belief systems, groups are formed based upon people who share similar beliefs. People congregate, like-minded people, congregate together. This shows up in the form of like street gangs and fraternities and societies and these elitist religions. People like Hitler and stuff, or the KKK. It's a bunch of people, like-minded people, who have their own belief system. And it's okay to sort of have your own belief system, but when you begin to impose it on people, that's where the problem comes in. And that's sort of like the darker side of Jupiter. It doesn't know when to stop. It just represents, you know, a belief system, and it can egotistically spread and share that knowledge. Because you see, the planet Jupiter can be very egotistical. In Vedic sidereal astrology, there is a terminology known as Digbala, or Directional Strength. And what that means is there's different houses in a birth chart where a planet excels and does and performs very good, very strongly in. And Jupiter, alongside with Mercury, performs and does very well in the first house, which represents the self, which represents the ego, that represents the soul, the personality and traits that we first exude and show and express to the world and to others. So Jupiter does really, really strong in that house. But the opposite of the first house is the seventh house, which represents intimate one-on-one relationships and whatnot. And you cannot bring your ego and strongly enforce your ideology, your intelligence, your belief systems on somebody when you're in a relationship. Or it would just, you know, it would just fall apart. When you begin to try to impose your belief system, whatever it might be, on somebody, then, you know, things just go haywire. There's a quote that says that, you know, the path to hell is made with good intentions. And you see this all the time. Someone, their ego, their mind, can get so caught and wrapped up in trying to prove a point and share the word of God that they start doing hypocritical and ungodly or religious-like things to get their point across, just tainting the message and making people not want to convert to their side and way of doing things. What else do we see? You know, short and simple, from this book that I read, when you set a goal, most of the time, well, sometimes when we set a goal, like let's say we want to buy a house or go on a vacation, we might work extra hours at our job to fulfill that goal. And what we do is, what we'll likely end up doing is bringing us great suffer and no pain and stress in the present, in the now, to go and try to acquire and reach and obtain that goal. So what I'm trying to say is, when you try to, most of the time, when you quickly try to reach your goal in the future, you end up destroying yourself in the present. So let's say that somebody wanted to, you know, quickly win a war. They might create some bomb that might kill millions of bad people and or good innocent people to reach their goal. You know, we can destroy ourselves in many different ways and forms in the present to reach a goal. And once we reach that goal, it might not have been worth the sacrifice that we have made. You know, we might not be able to enjoy that goal once we have made it there. So, you know, strongly imposing your ideology and belief system historically, you know, can really manifest in like dictatorship, you know, enslavement, you know, overrunning things, overruling things, conquering and pillaging. You think that your way of thinking is better, you think that your race and religion is better, and you'll just start forcibly doing your own thing because you think you're just better. That's just the way to do things. And that is sort of like the dark side of Jupiter. And short and simple, to quickly wrap this up, when people become real like spiritual and conscious, yeah, real spiritual, conscious and aware. I'm not gonna say knowledgeable, because you can be knowledgeable on anything and still be like spiritually dead. When you become real spiritual and believe in a higher power and a faith in God, most of the time we can tend to feel as though that we gotta find like some greater purpose to express our talents and gifts. But you don't have to do that at all. You know, simply being who you are, simply being this spiritual person, this spiritual being, is good enough in expressing your talents and being who you are. You don't have to be you don't have to be or do any more than what you are when you're just spiritual and conscious. Because when you're spiritual and conscious, someone will notice who you are. They will notice that you're different from other people. They'll notice this light, this glow, this aura about you. And they might come to you and want to learn about you and see why you're the way that you are, why you're different. And regardless of whether they believe it or not, regardless of whether they accept it or not. Okay, so I had to break this video up, but I'm basically almost done. But anyway, like I said, when they see that light, that aura, that glow about you, and they eventually want to come up to you and they want to see why you are the way you are, why you so peaceful, why you so different, why you just the way you are, why do you do tarot, why you do Reiki, why you into astrology, why you into whatever, why you believe this. Regardless if they believe you or not, you sparked something. We're like fire, we're like light. They'll come to you, they might not believe you. They might go talk to someone else and be like, oh, that person's crazy. Don't listen to that person. Can you believe that this person, they believe in this? And then those people that they spoke to, they might approach you. They might want to talk to you and learn about you and pick your brain. And then, one of them, they might like you. They might like the way that you think. They might, oh, this person not so crazy after all. And then they might go back to that person who thought you was crazy and they'll communicate it in a way that that person might understand. And then those people, they might spread it and talk to many more people. And it'll just spread. It'll just spread, You being who you are, a being of consciousness, a being of awareness, a being who believes in a higher faith, a being who believes in things outside of their immediate five senses is good enough. You're like a fire, and when someone comes to you, you'll either burn them or you'll ignite them. When they're ready to be light, that fire will spread like a virus, and other people, they'll begin to want to learn and see why you are the way you are, and they'll comprehend and understand who you are and stuff, and that's just good enough. We don't have to be on Oprah. We don't have to be some big TV figure and be huge and whatnot. We don't even gotta leave some big huge impression and impact on the world. Humans, we're important, but we're not that important to make the universe go round or the world go round. We're souls inhabiting bodies and form. Consciousness, a higher power, is working through us in the form of a body. Simply being who you are and talking to someone and sharing your knowledge with them is good enough. Whether they accept it or not, it doesn't matter. All publicity is good publicity, because your attention, because your message, whatever you're into, is getting out to people and whatnot, and they'll run with it. So the moral of the story is, don't really try to impose your belief system and what you believe on other people. Just simply be who you are, and being who you are will ignite and spark other like-minded people. And that's sort of the darker side of Jupiter historically, and and what I just told you was sort of the remedy. Don't impose your belief system, don't impose your skills, and don't believe and think that you have to be some big huge person with your skills and talents. If you become one, that's cool, but it doesn't have to be that way. Thank you for watching, and I hope this shed a different light on you in regards to about Jupiter. Thank you.